All right, my name is Randi Shannon, and we are back with Voices of Truth Radio, and this is going to go far and wide, this interview. I have one of my absolute favorite people, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, on with us today, and you are in for such a great show. Today, we are going to be talking about CBD oil and why it is all the rage for our bodies. Some people have this mixed thought about CBD oil. They think it's the psychoactive part of the plant and that we're all going to become lazy and want to sit around in hammocks all day. And none of that's true. So welcome, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, host of your own radio show, Brightside Ben. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you have this expertise on CBD oil, and tell us why it is so great for us.
You know, it's funny because CBD is kind of like all the rage, and last year or a couple of years it's been in the news, and cannabis has been in the news. But in pharmacy school, we learned about CBD as part of the body's neuroendocrine system, part of the body's hormone system back in the 1980s. They actually were, I remember I remember in biology class or in pathology class actually, they talked about this system, this hormone system in the body that's very similar to the other hormone systems in the body that actually works with the same molecule that is found in the cannabis plants. And as a 23-year-old pharmacy student, I was quite intrigued by that idea that our bodies make the same molecules that are made in the cannabis plant that everybody likes to smoke to enjoy themselves with. As it turns out, this molecule that's in the body called endocannabinoids, or these molecules in the body that are called endocannabinoids, are actually not just found in the cannabis plant, but they're also found in hops, and they're found in cocoa, and they're found in St. John's wort, and they're found in various other plants. In fact, these cannabinoids, which are made by the human body and made by the cannabis plant, are found throughout nature. And this accounts for the tremendous biological activity of many plants, including the cannabis plants, when human beings interact with them. In other words, when you interact with the cannabis plant, you are putting molecules in your body that are exactly the same as the molecules that are made in your body that have all kinds of biological effects. And that's why using cannabis can give you some amazing health and therapeutic benefits. And this is something that has been known about since the days of ancient China. In fact, ancient Chinese medical textbooks written 4,700 years ago talk about using cannabis as anti-anxiety medicine, as sleep medicine, as anti-pain medicine, as anti-inflammatory medicine. And it's considered to be, by Chinese medicine practitioners going back 4,700 years, Indian medical practitioners or Ayurvedic medical practitioners going back almost 3,000 years, Egyptian medical people or medicine men or medicine priests 2,000 years ago. It was honored and deified as being an incredibly powerful medicinal agent. Now, you can imagine 4,700 years ago, if something grew out of the ground and it could be used to take away pain, and it could be used as an anti-inflammatory, and it could be used as a sleep aid, and it could be used as an antidepressant, anti-anxiety agent, and it could be used as a digestive agent, that would be pretty darn incredible. There was no drugs back then, right? There was no pharmacy back then. So they found an herb or a plant or a weed that actually had all those medical benefits. It was pretty mind-blowing. And in fact, the cannabis plant has been used medically, not just 4,700 years ago and 3,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago by ancient cultures, but as recently as the 19th and early 20th century, every medicine cabinet in America had hemp tincture or had cannabis tincture in it. And it wasn't until the 1930s or 1940s with this so-called reefer madness hysteria and prohibition that cannabis became this kind of evil substance that people could get thrown in jail for the rest of their lives for having the nerve to smoke it or trying to sell it. So this idea that cannabis is something that's not medical and not therapeutically valid is only about 60 or 70 years old, while the idea of using cannabis as medicine is many millennia years old, almost 5,000 years old. And for good reason, because as I say, when you ingest these substances that are found in the cannabis plant, you are actually replacing and enhancing substances that your body makes naturally. And that is one of the most important ideas that people have to get when it comes to this taboo around using cannabis as medication. Now, I should tell you that there are two major classifications of the cannabis plant. You have marijuana and you have hemp. Marijuana, of course, everybody knows gets you stoned. And by the way, I don't have any problem with getting stoned. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but I'm just saying that marijuana is the cousin of the cannabis plant that gets you the intoxicating effect. Hemp, on the other hand, does not have any intoxicating effects, but it has been used traditionally for its textile role in textiles and for linens and for cloth and for rope. It's also been used as a source of fuel. Burning hemp, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson famously grew hemp. The hemp plant was, throughout the Revolutionary War, was considered to be one of the great industrial plants for helping, for making clothing and for making cloth, etc. So the hemp plant has a very long history for being used as rope and as a source of rope and a source of textiles and a source of clothing. But it turns out that there is an active ingredient in hemp that is very similar to the active ingredient in marijuana, with the exception of the fact that, unlike the active ingredient in marijuana, it doesn't get you high. The active ingredient in marijuana is called THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. I'm sure you've heard of that. I'm sure you've heard that term, THC. The active ingredient in hemp, which is analogous to THC, is called CBD. CBD does not get you high, but CBD has some incredible health benefits. So many health benefits that the government holds numerous patents on the health benefits. The federal government, that is, holds numerous patents on the CBD molecule for therapeutic benefit or for therapeutic features. And drug companies are spending billions, maybe even trillions of dollars on discovering all of the different ways that CBD can be used to treat various health ailments, ranging from epilepsy to diabetes to irritable bowel syndrome to depression to anxiety to pain and inflammation to cancer. And all of these are health challenges that can be modulated or regulated or controlled or improved by using CBD. And I'm talking about using CBD, I'm talking about topically using CBD, and I'm talking about orally using CBD. And this is why CBD has become such an incredible, almost like fad ingredient, because the fact of the matter is it is powerful and it works.
So how does it, so our body is wired with these receptors.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about hormones. CBD functions as a hormone. So what exactly is a hormone? A hormone is a molecule that hits a cell and initiates cell activity. So cells are little creatures, little beings, little entities that do things. A heart cell does heart things. A muscle cell does muscle things. A bone cell does bone things. A brain cell does brain things. All the cells in your body do different things. Well, it turns out that cells need various raw materials to do their work. They need nutrients to do their work, vitamins and minerals, etc. They need energy to do their work, the energy that's derived from proteins and fats and carbohydrates. And all of these facilitate cell actions and helps cells do their work. However, in order for a cell to make things or to do things or to contract or to relax or do all the different things the cell does, the cell has to be turned on. Cells have on-off switches, except they're much more complex than on-off switches. A cell can have thousands, maybe even 100,000 different on-off switches that determine when and whether a cell and for how long a cell will do its thing, how long a heart cell will do heart stuff, a muscle cell do muscle stuff, a brain cell do brain stuff, etc. These on-off switches are located on the outside part of a cell, and they get turned on when a chemical hits this outside part of a cell. The outside part of a cell is coated with, as I say, 100,000 of these different on-off switches that you could think of like sockets in a wall, like electrical sockets in a wall. And as soon as that electrical socket gets contacted with a plug, the cell turns on. We call the sockets on the outside of a cell receptors. We call the plugs that plug into the receptors hormones. The hormones act as plugs that fit into the sockets called receptors. And once that plug gets plugged into the socket that's called a receptor, the hormone plug gets plugged into the socket called a receptor, an action is initiated. The word for hormone, by the way, the meaning of the word hormone is I arouse to activity. Hormones are on switches. They're plugs that fit into the receptor socket to turn the cell on. That's how hormones work. And there's many different hormones. There's the steroid hormones, which we all know of, cortisol and estrogen and testosterone. There are other hormones like thyroid hormone and insulin hormone, and you have hormones in your digestive system, and you have hormones that work with the nervous system, neurohormones like serotonin and epinephrine, et cetera. There's hundreds of different hormones in the body. That is, hundreds of different plugs that fit into the various receptors on the cell. And every plug has its own receptor. So there's a receptor for serotonin, there's a receptor for insulin, there's a receptor for cortisol, there's a receptor for estrogen. Every hormone plug has its own receptor socket. Well, guess what? Cannabinoids are hormones, and they have their own sockets. The cannabinoid hormone plug fits into a cannabinoid socket. The very same stuff that's found in marijuana or that's found in the hemp plants, when you smoke it or you eat it or you rub it on your body, will fit into a socket that's located on a cell. And it turns out there are more sockets for cannabinoid hormones than there are for any other hormones in the body. So the body makes cannabinoid hormones. Those cannabinoid hormones fit into a socket in a cell, and they cause the cell to do certain behaviors, certain activities. For the most part, the cannabinoid hormones, the cannabinoid plugs that fit into the cannabinoid sockets or the cannabinoid receptors calm things down. They have a calming effect on the cell, a relaxing effect on the cell, which is why they're used to treat inflammation and why they're used to treat seizure disorders, and why they're used to treat problems in the body that are marked by excessive amounts of activity. They have a calming, suppressant, inhibitory effect on the cells. But the take-home message is the same stuff that you get from the cannabinoid plant, the hemp plant in particular, which is what we're talking about here today, the same active ingredient that's made in the hemp plant functions in your own natural CBD sockets, CBD receptors on the cells, which means you could improve cannabinoid activity, which for the most part, as I say, is inhibitory and relaxing. You can improve these inhibitory and relaxing effects by taking in CBD in supplements or taking in CBD from the hemp plant. It's the same exact stuff, which is why this is so beautiful, Randy, which is why you get these incredible benefits with no toxicity. It's almost like you're taking a nutrient. You're doing hormone replacement therapy with a plant molecule. This is absolutely amazing. You get all of the effects that this hormone substance provides with zero toxicity, because it's not like a drug that the body has to eliminate. When you take a prescription drug, the body's like, get out of me. Get these Satan behind me. And it tries to eliminate it. With cannabinoids, because they're exactly the same molecule that you're making anyway, you get no toxicity. The body doesn't freak out, and you get all of these wonderful, wonderful benefits. And there are so many benefits to CBDs, to using CBD topically, but for the most part, they all involve relaxation. Anti-anxiety, antidepressant, sleep-promoting, anti-inflammatory, anti-pain, anti-cancer. They're important for the digestive system. They're important for the blood sugar system. They're used to treat migraine headaches and seizure disorders. It's really almost endless. And again, this all comes from molecules that are found in plants that are exactly the same as the molecules that are made in your body.
Okay, so let's say somebody is growing the hemp plant, and they want to take that and juice the plant. You know, they put it in their morning smoothie. Are they going to get high from that?
No, they will not get high, and they will get some CBD benefits from that. But they won't get a lot. CBD is not found in very high concentrations. It's really in trace amounts. So you got to get a lot of hemp plant, a lot of hemp material to get enough CBD. But you will get trace amounts of CBD by just doing straight hemp tincture, absolutely. Or it's located in the oil. And this is another very interesting point. Remember, I said CBD is made in your body. It's made by cells, and it is actually secreted out of those cells to hit the ears, or I should say the plugs on other cells. I call them ears because they're kind of like listening to the CBD molecule, which is kind of like a command signal, but we'll call it a plug. So your body is making its own CBD plugs to fit into CBD sockets. But here's a very important point, Randi. You can have a deficiency in CBD because CBDs are made from essential fatty acids. So your body, when you eat your essential fatty acids, you know what those are, right? Omega-6s, in particular.
Yes.
When you eat your omegas, your body will turn those omegas into CBD, and then that CBD can fit into the sockets and the cells. But you have to make sure you're getting your EFAs to make CBD. Many people aren't getting enough EFAs, so they're not making enough CBD, so they're suffering from CBD deficiencies. You can correct CBD deficiencies by taking CBD in as a supplement. So if CBD is important as an anti-diabetic agent, as an anti-anxiety agent, as an anti-sleep agent, it makes you ask the question, could my sleep problems, could my diabetes problem, could my anxiety problem, could my pain problem, could my migraine headache problem, could all the things that CBD is being used to treat, could those problems be caused by a deficiency in CBDs? And yes, the answer is yes. You can suffer from CBD deficiency syndrome by either not getting enough essential fatty acids into your system, or if you had your gallbladder taken out, or you have liver disease, or you have dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria, or you have an intestinal problem. All of these can cause you to not be able to absorb your essential fatty acids, in which case you'll suffer from a CBD deficiency syndrome, even if you're getting EFAs. So between deficiencies in essential fatty acids, which many, if not most people are suffering from, and digestive problems that compromise the ability to extract and assimilate EFAs from food, many people are suffering from a CBD deficiency problem, which could easily cause issues ranging from diabetes and seizure disorders and migraines to cancer and chronic pain and chronic inflammation and digestive issues, which is why using CBD in a supplemental form is like replacing the CBD that you're missing. It's almost like a nutritional supplement. It's not an essential nutritional supplement like a vitamin or a mineral, but it's along the same lines, especially for somebody who's dealing with CBD deficiency syndrome issues.
Okay, so boy, this does a lot.
It's like hormone replacement therapy. It's like non-toxic hormone replacement therapy.
So there's a lot of places, I can go up and down. I'm here in Miami, and I can go up and down US 1, major thoroughfare going through here, and I can see a lot of places on the side of the road, little stores that say CBD oil here, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of them that are, not necessarily that great. CBD oil itself is very expensive, correct?
It's ridiculously expensive. It's like thousands of dollars a kilogram. It's like $13,000, $14,000 a kilo. If you find a good source, you may be able to find it for $10,000 a kilo or $8,000 a kilo if you buy a lot of it, kind of thing. So it is ridiculously expensive, which is why it's only found in very tiny concentrations. Making a buying decision on a CBD product is very tricky. You want to make sure that the company you're buying it from knows what they're doing. You want to make sure that the company they're buying from is formulating the product correctly. You want to make sure, number one, they're using the right form of CBD, an effective form of CBD, a potent enough form of CBD. And you also want to make sure that the company that's formulating the product is using other entities from the cannabinoid plant, or from the cannabis plant. So CBD is just one of the cannabinoids. This is the most famous cannabinoid that works, but there's many other cannabinoids that have an effect and that can support the CBD's effects. So when you're using a cannabinoid product, you want to look for something called full-spectrum CBD. A full-spectrum CBD contains various cannabinoids that support the activity of the CBD. So a good formulation will have a combination of full-spectrum extracts plus CBD isolate. And that way you make sure that you're getting all of the benefit of the hemp plant, not just the CBD, but the other cannabinoids which can support the activity of the CBD. Not only that, but there are other molecules that are found in the plant that aren't even cannabinoids, some of them are called terpenes, which you may have heard of, that can support the activity of the CBD as well. So when you're going down the highway and looking at all the different places that have CBD products, you got to make sure that you're buying the right CBD product. And just because you use a CBD product that does, and it may not work, doesn't mean all CBD products are not going to work. You got to shop around, and you got to find a formulation that is effective, that contains both the isolate and the full spectrum, as well as the entourage ingredients that help support the activity of the CBD.
Perfect. That was important because I've had friends say, oh, I saw it on Amazon for $8 a bottle.
Exactly. You'll see it all over. So you got to make sure that you're getting full spectrum, and you got to make sure that you're getting the entourage effect if you really want an effective product. And I would make sure that it's a reputable company that you're buying from, and I would also make sure that the product works. And if it doesn't work for you, don't blame the entire CBD molecule or the concept with cannabinoids. You might have to shop around to find a product that works for you.
What about, legalities, if people are worried about...
Well, CBD is legal. CBD is legal, although the federal government, as I said, federal government's funny because they have patents on CBD, but they still don't want people using it. So there is some controversy from a federal standpoint, but almost I think all the states now allow CBD to be used. Remember, CBD doesn't get you high. The problem that regulators have is with getting stoned. They don't want people getting stoned. That doesn't happen with CBD. Technically speaking, from a regulatory standpoint, a CBD product has to have less than 0.3% THC in order for it to be a legal product. And that's the standard that most states work with. So a CBD product technically is not going to get you high, and a CBD product technically isn't going to set off a drug test either. But CBD will provide some really wonderful, wonderful health benefits, mostly around relaxation.
Perfect.
Not getting stoned, but relaxation.
Thank you for clarifying that. If anybody wants to get some CBD-related products for, like what he talked about, there's several of them that are out there. Just reach out to us directly at the show, 319-804-9163. I'm going to repeat that, 319-804-9163. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and I work together on this, so together we can put you in touch with what we feel is the best out there, organic, non-genetically modified, pure forms, and so healthy for the body. 319-804-9163. Anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, if anybody has wants any literature on this stuff, I'm happy to send them. I've been collecting articles on CBD. By the way, the latest literature on CBD is for CBD and Alzheimer's disease and dementia, which I find kind of ironic considering cannabinoids have this reputation as frying your brain out. It turns out that CBD has wonderful pro-brain health benefits, particularly for patients who are dealing with dementia or cognitive impairment. I was going to say that if anybody wants some interesting articles, I'm happy to send them. I don't know if you want to give out my email, but I'm happy to send you out some of the articles that I've collected. Just send ben@ksco.com, and I'm happy to send you out some articles.
Perfect. And don't forget, to the listening audience, truthtreatments.com. If you go there and you get any of Ben's skincare line, he will give you 10% off if you just mention the offer code TRUTHRS. Just put it together as in all one word, TRUTHRS. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Ben. You have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Great talking to you. Thank you. Okay.